long have most people been in the role? Say 2 years and under? Okay, quite a few. 2 to 5 years. Okay, and 5 years and more? Okay, great. And so you've probably seen the role change over time. I always find it interesting for those who are really new to the role. This is what I felt was my development. It was the team members that worked with me. It was what I seemed to see as their development. The first year, and if you're in that first year, the first year can feel a lot like the dog paddle. Like you're just trying to keep your head above water and you're just trying to do whatever it is that lands on your plate next. The second year, things start to become a little bit familiar. And you go, hey, I've seen this before. I kind of remember what we did last year. I got to look it up. I'm not quite sure, but I kind of remember. To me, it's always that third year where all of a sudden you've got traction. And you go, you know what? These are the processes we've been using, and they're all right. But I've seen other stuff out there. I've seen different things. I think we could be more efficient, more effective. I think we could do things in a better manner than what we're doing them in now. So not only is there this annual cycle, but I think there's a cycle of onboarding people into the corporate secretary role and how they interact in that role. So the cycle that I think is most common is the one that we most end up managing to is the meeting cycle. Typically, organizations have somewhere between 5 and 10 major director meetings a year. 10 is typically around like banks. 5 is more normal for other types of organizations. And that will typically include a set of committee meetings as well. So you've got these major meetings throughout the year. And that's always what you're working toward. The meetings, what actions come out of them, how that fits into the minutes, and then how the minutes feed into the agenda of the next meeting, and then how that meeting, and sometimes those meetings are so close together that it's very difficult to manage that process. We're going to go into that in a lot more detail, and I mention it a little bit more later, but we're going to talk about it actually in more detail in the next session as well. But understanding your annual cycle, and whether that's building a calendar for yourself of key dates, key due dates, or whether it's having a reminder system, however you find works for you to give you a visual. I'm such a visual person. I have a year calendar on my wall at all times. That's the only way I can and the only way I can figure out which month I'm on is I take a clear piece of yellow plastic and I stick it over the current month, so I can look at my calendar and I instantly know where I am, because I literally, so much of what we do is looking forward to, okay, in 2 months this is going to be due. I have to start working on it now. So however that works for you to keep track of that annual cycle. You probably have a quarterly cycle that feeds in as well, whether that's around the meetings themselves, or you may have disclosure items that you deal with. There are so many different pieces along there, and you're going to have ad hoc items that just fall in and amongst that. So if you're preparing a proxy circular, you're going to have a cycle for when that is. As you get more used to the role, you're going to have a really good idea of what that cycle is. And I think it's a really interesting process to go through, if you haven't, to go through and kind of write down, you know, in October, what's my key focus? In November, what's my key focus? In December, because you could almost go month by month, and it may be board meeting plus proxy circular, and you know the next month may be board meeting and annual grants to employees if you have stock option plans that you deal with. There's all kinds of different pieces along there. So understanding that cycle is really valuable.